Oh, here we are again now, and it's like no time has passed. Gazing out upon the sunset as it sinks into the night. Many times it seemed as though a given day might be our last. Face to face with certain death, it's somehow coming out alright. I don't think that we have any cause to lament, but there's quite a lot of thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent.
Hilda kind of tilts her head. It may be presumptuous to think, but maybe you do it because it gives you purpose. It might be as simple as that.
Well, that was very nicely said. I didn't think you were so poetic when you were throwing a giant sword at my mermaid costume.
This is sort of poetry and violence.
Exactly.
I can agree.
The sword is my brush, the blood, the paint.
Wow.
Oh, that's cool.
I've always
too.
considered myself a bit of a musician, with the screams being the instruments.
Wow. Oh my god.
Hilda smiles, a choir.
Oh, and there's strings and woodwinds and yeah.
Bones make excellent drums.
You guys!
That shit you can forget.
Indian's
Xanthi
just
squirms uncomfortably.
Indian is smiling. Indian is smiling and blinking. She walks forward. Look at us getting along.
Hilda looks at the squirming pigbat. Oh, would you like to be put down?
Yeah, I'm feeling better now, thanks.
Oh, I forgot that was sentient.
Hilda narrows her eyes. This is my good friend Xanthi.
Yeah, I'm just in pigbat form to use my pigbat regeneration.
Right.
Yeah, that's totally a thing.
Hey,
Hilda
I
just,
got beat up on pretty hard. Leave me alone.
Hilda tightens her grip around Xanthi. She's so soft.
It's true.
Well, Inian,
Yeah?
I guess this is where I learned something in the lava room about conversation.
Ah.
Mm-hmm. I should investigate how you are feeling, knowing that the castle that we've probably lost many classmates to is a complete joke. And
Oh, yeah, no, how are you doing on that, too? She's...
like I said, I don't wax nostalgically about a lot, but you have a heart, so I should investigate because we're friends.
I'm actually shocked you'd consider my heart. Most people would consider me relatively heartless. I like to think instead of an absence, it's rather inverted. Like it just got pushed in a little bit too hard, and now it's just angry.
Yeah.
She pokes at her chest.
Fire will do that to you. About that, you kind of escaped your dream realm pretty quickly.
She smiles. I looks over to the side. A while back I used to lead a coven of witches, I suppose. And we were dedicated to studying magic and I guess bettering ourselves. By any definition, Harlock, we would be the type of people that you would want to show up, definitely holier than thou types. I was insufferable. She sort of waves her hand around.
That explains the
And,
pajamas. It's character development.
I have grown since then, I believe. Let's say I overstepped my bounds one day, and I didn't wind up punished for it, but everyone I was associated with did.
Same.
Unfortunately. This is why we get along. She smiles. Everyone I knew was, or all those young hopefuls that I was looking forward to, unfortunately suffered from one of my mistakes, and I made sure that the ones who did it would be unable to do that ever again. As I said, revenge is delightful at the end of the day. She smiles. I wanted to make sure that even if it was my fault, and it absolutely was. I was practicing magic in a country that didn't appreciate it at the time, let's just say. I wanted to make sure that the wrath of a magic user was something that would go down as a legend, that it would become a folktale, and that my face would become the face of fear itself. Not so much that magic users could live in peace or anything like that. She takes
If only
a
they
step
could
away.
see you now.
Yeah.
Hilda is entranced.
Like, that's not on the agenda or anything. She turns around. I wanted them to see and recognize what the end point of a series of bad decisions and mistakes look like. I wanted them to see the raw fury of someone who realized she'd fucked up so badly that not only were the common folk and the church against her, the world seemed to be put against her. A creature that was so dumb. There was a mixture of so much fury with herself and with the state of things. It would never be forgotten. She grins. Something like that I thought should be crystallized as a legend. Like, honestly, I felt so bad, so hideously angry at the time. I don't want anything or anyone to forget it. So, that's why I find fires like these so delightful, she motions around herself. They burn forever. No one will ever forget this. And, as a testament to my own hubris, and the hubris of the church that chose to teach me a lesson, I suppose, there's a section of the countryside that will never be extinguished as well. She takes a step forward again. So,
That's a cool thing you just said.
I was inspired. She waves a hand like, honestly, my own, it feels like I feel things wrong, frankly, most of the time. Like, I see a
Better
situation
than not feeling
like
at
this,
all.
I suppose, in its own way. Motions to the fire. I see something like this, and instead of being like, oh, how horrific, I think, ooh, cool fire. So, I'm sorry for my lack of empathy for your losses. I really am. I realize this is apologizing for something that I'm not capable of, and thus probably doesn't have much weight, but I can't directly empathize with your situation, but I can project myself into it, and I know how I'd react, at least. And
How's that?
Harlock, well, I might have tipped my hand earlier, scratches the back of her neck with delighting in the liquidation of those mages, but I can at least say that, objectively speaking, holds a hand up. I think you're handling it better than I would, Harlock.
Thanks. That's
See-
the first time I've ever heard that.
I'm a very emotional person, If I were in this situation, I would be dedicated to, I guess, making nothing of it. Reducing everything, including my own mistake and gross incompetence, to 0. I think even good people would try to atone for what they did, etc., etc. She gets a sort of disgusted look on her face. But you're making something of what happened here. You're doing something that both someone who's wrong, like me, pokes herself in the chest, or someone who is right, like, say, Marcus or Gregor, wouldn't be able to do. You took this and you learned. You didn't let this wound define you, and honestly, as someone defined by their wounds, that's pretty impressive.
Well, everything is science, and there is knowledge to be gained from even mistakes, so I suppose that's all there is to that. Well, Hilda, did you ever blow anything up?
Not specifically, but I have done a lot of killing.
Go on.
We're sharing right now.
It's a circle of trust.
We half giants, normally, we're only very good at one type of emotion, and that's usually
Oh,
anger.
good, you actually are a giant. I didn't want to assume.
Hilda just kind of looks down. Yes, we are only accustomed to rage. Because of that, it is very difficult for us to become part of a society. But thankfully, she hugs Xanthi and gives a little smile. I met some very kind people who were patient.
Idian smiles. I think I can echo that story. Yeah. I can empathize with that at least.
And about the wounds, I don't think it's good or bad if they define you. It's more what you are feeling currently. If you are pleased with your current circumstances, then I think that's great.
Idian stops and thinks about it. Huh. Yeah, when you... She like pokes herself. What is this feel? Yeah, she's like poking at her chest.
Did your heart just turn upside down?
Maybe, I don't know. Like, listen, I am angry most of the time, like 95% of the time, but like there was a strange amount that clicked with me there, I suppose. Maybe it's like looks at the fire again. Like it's clear that all of us have been through a lot, and maybe it's like maybe I'm like tough for having survived all this stuff, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
Maybe, definitely.
huh.
Consider how many people in the same circumstances would come out the other side. And more importantly, come out the other side and want to help people.
Or set things on fire, depending on your circumstances. He kind of mumbles off to the
Hilda
side.
smiles. That can help people. Unless they are on fire.
Which is only temporary, unless it's alchemical fire, which burns forever.
Everybody looks at the fire on the wall. This is nice fire. I genuinely, thanks. I guess I'm tougher than I gave myself credit for. Looks over at Harlox like she looks over at your missing arm. Maybe you are too. And like, I realize that's kind of that's saying a lot because you already think of yourself as exceptionally tough and deadly, but you know.
I wouldn't say that. I feel pain always. It just doesn't matter.
Ooh,
well,
didn't know about that.
Yeah, alchemical fire burns forever. Not just literally, but you know, the pain of burning.
Ooh, as Inian goes, ooh, and starts to recoil, you see the spitting image of Nahal going, eee.
Hilda thinks for a moment. My magic is heavily involved with blood and pain and death. Perhaps I can at least dull the pain?
I can't imagine what I'd be able to get done if I wasn't feeling a horrible burning for the past 15 years.
Oh my god.
If you would like me to attempt, I certainly can, but I cannot guarantee anything.
If you can do it to me, could you do it for someone else?
Of course.
That would make me feel better than if you did it for me.